How's it going, everybody? As part of our playset construction project, I cut this nice retaining wall into the ground and I carried it out a ways to the east to allow me to create another garden bed. Any opportunity I get with any project, I try to incorporate some native, ornamental, or edible landscaping. So I reviewed everything I've currently got planted and realized that I don't have any nut trees. I have fruits, vegetables, herbs, but no nuts. I think my favorite nut is pecans. There are some varieties of pecans that can grow in our USDA zone, but their hardiness and disease tolerance is questionable. So I didn't want to really invest the time and the money and the location in our yard. We only have an acre, so I really have to utilize our space wisely. It just didn't make sense to me to purchase a pecan tree. So what I landed on is 2 hazelnut trees. Hazelnuts are not self-pollinating, so they need another variety to help pollinate to produce a crop. I ended up purchasing a Theta filbert hazelnut tree and a Jefferson filbert hazelnut tree. Both trees were purchased from fastgrowingtrees.com. When we bought this property and started planting our orchards, I bought a lot of trees from fastgrowingtrees.com and have had great success with them. They've been a great company to work with, very responsive. The trees have done well. Hazelnuts don't get super big, 12 to maybe 15 feet tops by 10, 12 feet wide. Relatively small, almost shrub-like. Hazelnuts do well in our climate. They're very hardy. They can get down to really cold temperatures in the winter, which is important here in Wisconsin. And these varieties are pretty well disease resistant, which is an important quality to look for in any perennial that you're going to plant in your yard. If you're going to invest the time and the money into growing something, you want it to be there for many years to come and be successful with limited care and maintenance on your end. So always check out disease tolerance and hardiness for your zone. So our subdivision that we currently live in was established in the late 60s, early 70s. Before it was a subdivision, much like anything else around our area, it was farm fields. When the developer came in and started doing the earthwork and laying out the roads and everything, getting the parcels set up, they stripped everything of the rich topsoil that was here. Took it right down to the clay below it. Now they did put topsoil back to seed the grass and everything, but obviously they didn't put all of it back, and they probably likely sold it or used it in different projects, different locations, because topsoil is a very valuable commodity. In some areas of our yard we've got 6, maybe 8 inches of topsoil, which is pretty good, and then other areas it's like 2 or 3 inches of topsoil. So where I'm putting these trees, it looks like we've got between 4 and 5 inches of topsoil maybe, and then it goes right down to clay. It shouldn't be a big deal for the trees. It's not going to be a big deal for the trees. If you look at all the established mature trees that we've got here on the property already, everything, that root system goes quite deep. The tap roots will go down really far. They spread out quite a bit, but they're getting all the nutrients and everything they need from that clay, that, in my opinion, kind of crappy fill soil down there. So the trees shouldn't have an issue. All of our other fruit trees that we've planted already, they're doing just fine. When I drop these bare root plants down into the ground, I'm going to fill the holes with some clean topsoil and then put a good few inches of compost around the base of the trees, maybe a 4-foot diameter around the trees, so that the rich compost nutrients can break down, turn into soil, and release and feed the trees as the trees get established and start to grow. Any grubs I come across, I always feed to the chickens. Special delivery. Is that good? Okay, the 2 hazelnuts are in the ground. When planting fruit or nut trees, you want to look up what flowering group each tree has. You want to plant the one that's going to flower the soonest, in our case to the west, because that's where our oncoming storms and winds usually come from. So you get some natural wind pollination that way. So when that pollen's flying, it'll hit the next tree downwind from it. And also help the insects pollinate, as they generally try to fly with the wind. It's easier on them. So they'll go from one tree with the wind to the next tree, with the wind to the next tree. So in this case, I planted my Theta hazelnut further west than the Jefferson hazelnut. Okay, I've got our compost here. I'm going to spread it around the base of the trees at a 4-foot diameter roughly. This compost is rich with leaf litter, grass clippings, little twigs that have been mulched up by the mower in the yard. chicken compost, chicken manure I should say, their bedding from the coop and the run, coffee grounds, other assorted kitchen scraps that didn't go to the chickens got put on the compost pile. So it's rich, it's dense with rich nutrients that are going to get pushed down into the ground to help feed these plants. Now that our compost is down, I'm going to drench it with some rainwater from our rain barrels. The reason I like to use rainwater as opposed to groundwater is groundwater can tend to have very high concentrations of minerals, also known as hard water. In some cases, these minerals are in high enough concentrations that it can harm your plant. By harvesting your own rainwater, you're also limiting the amount of water that's being pulled out of the groundwater table, which isn't a huge deal where we are, but some areas of the world that is a big concern. Now that we've got our compost down around the trees, I'm going to add a mulch topping. The mulch is going to help suppress weeds, retain moisture, expel moisture if there's too much, break down and provide nutrients to the plants as they grow, hold the soil in place so there's no erosion, and make for a suitable environment for microorganisms to develop and flourish. This mulch was delivered by a local company. Tim Richardson, the owner of Cardinal Tree Service in Mukwonago, has hooked me up a handful of times with free chipped tree remains from projects that he's worked on. A lot of times these tree removal companies have so much tree remains to get rid of, and in some places they have to pay to dispose of them. So generally they're more than happy to drop loads off for free just to get the chips off their hands. And it helps gardeners like myself out tremendously. So thank you again, Tim. Now when adding mulch around your plants, it's important that you make sure the mulch is not up against the crown, in this case the crown of your tree, because it can retain too much moisture and create a crown rot scenario where it's just holding all that moisture right up against your tree. Creates a good spot for bacteria to grow. When I get around to it, I plan on filling this whole section of the bed in with chipped tree remains just like that. I haven't quite decided yet what else I want to grow in here, whether it's an annual or a perennial fruit. I might grow potatoes or onions in here, or garlic even, as those are staples in a lot of the recipes that we make here. But that's to be determined yet. It does look like it might be rather dry for the coming week, so every day or two I might come out and give these guys a good watering just to help them get their roots established. I'm back by our apiary, and before I even had Scott install these hives, I cleared this whole area out up here and sowed wildflower seeds. This is a perennial mix from Eden Brothers. I will put the link in the description below. It's an affiliate link, so if you purchase this mix through them, they will give the Green Acre a percentage of your purchase. So thank you for helping us out. This is the second year that this wildflower mix has been here. So a lot of the plants that were getting established last year are going to bloom for the first time this spring. I'm just starting to see some flower blossoms, and over the coming weeks this should really start to take off. This particular mix can get a couple of feet tall with a variety of different flowers, which are going to be great for our pollinator friends, the honeybees, and in an upcoming video, some native leafcutter bees that I will also be adding to the property. I was taking a walk through our gardens here, and I came over by the raspberries and saw something pretty neat that I wanted to share with you. Raspberries have underground runners known as rhizomes that will pop up around the mother plant. This particular cane is 5.5 feet away from its raised bed, which is amazing. It's this aggressive expansion that makes raspberry plants rather invasive. This is why I keep our raspberry plants in a raised bed, so we can mow around it and cut down any of the canes that pop up around the bed. Today I'm donating 4 dozen of our chicken eggs to the Mukwonago food pantry. Our ladies have blessed us with an abundance of eggs, and we'd love to share the wealth with our community. Yeah, we've got quite a few eggs from our chickens. So.
Nice.
That's it. You know about eggs?
I do. Thank you so much.
Gotcha.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
You too. Take care.